construction business. This is our initiative to help students, youngsters, and working professionals discover some of the best minds in the construction industry and possibly learn from them about various techniques, technologies, and leadership skills as to how you can succeed in the construction industry. My today's guest is Mr. Vaibhav Jain, who is an assistant manager, strategic initiatives at Kalpataru, Mumbai. At Kalpataru, Vaibhav basically handles lean construction and Six Sigma. This is a wonderful conversation about a new profile that most civil engineering students are not aware of. I hope you enjoy this episode because Vaibhav is not just a brilliant professional when it comes to his knowledge, but also a great friend of mine. So Vaibhav, thank you so much for your time. It's great to talk to you. Vaibhav, first of all, how are you? How is life? How is work?
So, hi Sachin, and it's great to talk to you always. So, I'm doing good, just going with the flow and growing with the flow.
Oh wow, growing with the flow. That's quite an adjective to use. Growing with the flow. So, Vaibhav, what does a lean construction manager do in general? Because a lot of young engineers are listening to this. They may not even know that such a profile exists, right? And they don't even know this concept of Kaizen and Lean and Six Sigma. How are they related? What exactly is lean engineering or lean thinking?
So, a role of lean construction manager will require you to observe a process, the ongoing flow of the work, and identify the waste activities and how you can eliminate those activities and improve the process.
So can it be applied everywhere in life or is it just specific to construction? Because मुझे पता है कि Kaizen एक Japanese concept है and people from Japan actually pioneered this whole concept of Kaizen. तो इंडिया में और पहले मुझे ये भी पता है कि Toyota as a company actually borrowed it from a philosopher and they tried to implement it first in manufacturing process. So how did it happen in construction? Can we use it in our day-to-day life? Can you please explain that?
So yes, this concept of Kaizen can be applied everywhere in your day-to-day working, day-to-day activities at your home, everywhere. Let me tell you a brief history about the Kaizen. This concept of Kaizen first started during World War II. So, जो आर्मी थे, they were with very less amount of resources. उनको बहुत कम चीज़ें मिलती थी और उसी से उनको काम करना होता था. So that's why they came up with this concept कि कैसे how we can do more with less.
Nice.
So ये वहाँ से शुरू हुआ था. Then gradually Japan picked it up and Toyota was one of the company जहाँ पे उन्होंने they have very well implemented it and then the Toyota way वो उन्होंने पूरे world को explain किया then how we implement the Kaizen. So Kaizen आप कहीं भी implement कर सकते हैं. Even in your while you are exercising, while आप किसी disease से अगर आप recover कर रहे हो, you must know Cristiano Ronaldo. So few years back he got injured. तो उसके बाद में after he recovered, he just posted an Instagram post and उसमें in the caption he wrote Kaizen.
अच्छा. Oh.
So you can apply while the recovering from any injury as well.
Awesome. So in the construction context, Vaibhav, a lot of civil engineering young graduates or even architects, they don't even know that this exists, right? So how did you come across this in your life and how did you actually plan for this? Was it something that you wanted to become or was it something that you were open to opportunities and it came along the way as you studied? How did this Kaizen happen to you and why did you choose this as your career?
So to me, I didn't know about Kaizen at all. First,
Like most civil engineering kids, absolutely no idea, and that's okay to not have an idea, isn't it?
that's okay at all. जरूरी नहीं है आपको सब कुछ पता होगा लाइफ में. But yeah, I got to know about Kaizen simultaneously at two places. One was at Nikmar, and second while I was doing my internship. So I was an intern in the same company under same role. So at that time I got to know about Kaizen. तब मुझे बताया गया था कि this concept is well implemented in manufacturing industry, and construction industry has bought it from there. Yeah.
So we've more or less borrowed it from manufacturing sector.
Yeah.
Okay.
So manufacturing में तो it's in their blood. वहाँ पे आपको किसी को Kaizen, if you are talking to somebody from manufacturing background, within first 5 minutes, you will heard the word Kaizen. Yes, you will hear the word Kaizen.
Yeah, because it's just very fundamental to them.
It's very
In
fundamental.
construction industry, I've not come across many of the contractors, at least the small scale contractors जो यहाँ पे रहते हैं, people build small villas and things like that. They don't actually use Kaizen. So is there an incentive for using Kaizen? Just from the, from the scope of business, does Kaizen actually help you in increasing your profits?
So let me tell you, in reference to the construction industry, you must be knowing RERA आया है कुछ साल पहले, the Real Estate Regulation Act.
Yes.
Before RERA was in picture,
Yes.
what builders used to do, they do not have any timeline foundation.
Correct.
And property prices was always going up.
Correct.
So अगर वो delay करते हैं तो और उनको
Correct.
benefit, it will be beneficial for the builder.
The builders
ज़्यादा
and not
price
the,
मिलेगा.
correct, and not the customers.
Yeah.
And there was also no, essentially there's no fine for the builders, but if the customer misses an EMI, there's always a fine, right? So RERA in a way brought an equilibrium in the system, which made them accountable.
Yes. So in a conventional practice, if I may say, use the word conventional, price आप decide कर रहे हैं. It is not the buyers who are deciding the price. You are deciding the price. So you can play with your profit margin. You can play with the timelines. You can play with all the cost of the of any construction project. Now, after RERA is in the picture, you are bound to give the flat to the customer on time.
Right.
On time and in full.
Correct.
So OTP is also one of the concept. We will discuss it separately. So अब आपके पास टाइम तो आप एक्स्ट्रा बाय नहीं कर सकते हो, एंड इफ यू डिले यू हैव टू पे हैवी पेनल्टी.
करेक्ट.
नाउ अब आपके पास कॉस्ट, कंस्ट्रक्शन कॉस्ट इज फिक्स्ड, पहले भी था उतना. जो आपका प्रॉफिट मार्जिन है वो आपका रिड्यूस हो जाएगा इफ यू डिले. सो हाउ कैन यू, आप बिजनेस को कैसे बढ़ा सकते हो? यू हैव टू रिड्यूस द कॉस्ट.
यस.
अब जो बिल्डर, जो डेवलपर, जो कॉन्ट्रैक्टर अगर कॉस्ट में प्ले कर जाता है, इफ दे सेव मोर तो दे विल अर्न मोर. अ रुपी सेव्ड इज रुपी अर्न. विथ काइजन you can bring that saving in your balance sheets.
Awesome. I mean, you explained it in a very, very simple way, but a lot of commentators, a lot of people who oppose things like Kaizen, they say that, kitna bacha loge, like Kaizen is a very minute thing. So, and I'm sure you've come across people like that where, where they say that Kaizen doesn't really, help you save a lot of money.
Yes, so ये सुनने को मिला है कि कंस्ट्रक्शन तो पिछले 50 सालों से ऐसे ही हो रहा था, अभी भी हो जाएगा, तब कौन सा काइजन था? I have heard that.
Yeah. So what do you have to say to people like that? And how do you sort of defend a concept like Kaizen? And how do you actually advocate Kaizen to, say, for example, a contractor?
So let me first tell you the literal translation of the Kaizen. I don't know how many of our listeners would be knowing the meaning of Kaizen. Kaizen is a Japanese term which means continuous improvement.
Correct.
Kai means change and Zen means improvement for the better. So Kaizen दो words को मिला के बना है.
Mm-hmm.
And इसका literal English translation is continual improvement. आपको continuously, daily, you have to improve your processes.
Mm-hmm.
You have to improve yourself.
Got it.
You do not do Kaizen for anybody else. You just do it for yourself. Now, if I talk about the benefit to a contractor, आप अगर कोई भी compound interest का अगर देखें, if you put some money in any compounding terms, you will not get benefit on the second day or after a month or after 6 months.
True.
But on a longer term,
Correct.
compounding will give more better returns
Than your simple interest. That is true.
Kaizen is like that. It is just that 1% improvement every day. If I talk about the improvement over a year, it is nearly about 38%.
Wow.
And just imagine after 10 years. So Kaizen will give you benefit after some years. Same like compounding.
Right. So, I mean, that's a very complex sort of explanation. But very simply, you're telling me that the value of using Kaizen over a long period of time can give you a significant difference.
Yes.
Right. And fantastic. So, how is it related to Lean? What is the difference between Lean and Kaizen? And how is Six Sigma different from Kaizen? If you can explain all these details.
So Kaizen comes under the umbrella of Lean only. So Kaizen is not different from Lean. Lean focuses on removing the waste, eliminating the waste from the processes.
Right.
Or if you cannot eliminate it, just reduce it. So in Lean, there are different types of waste. And by waste, I do not mean to say wet waste or dry waste. I am talking about the process waste.
Right.
So
can you explain the whole concept of process waste and how this waste actually helps with an example?
Yes. So there are 3 Japanese terms: Muda, Mura, and Muri. We call it 3 M's. Muda means waste in Japan, in Japanese.
Okay.
Mura means inconsistency.
Okay.
And Muri is overload.
Overload.
Yes. These all are process waste. Under Muda, there are 8 types of waste. And combining with these 2, total 10 process wastes are there.
Wow.
So let me give you an example. Otherwise, ये बहुत technical हो जाएगा.
Correct.
Imagine you are at an airport.
Yes.
You want a stamp on your boarding pass.
Correct.
You are standing in a line. After 5 minutes of waiting, you reach the counter.
Correct.
But the person at the counter said ki this is not the right line. You have to go on the other side of the terminal and then get it stamped there.
Yeah.
So you walked there.
Correct.
Ab wahan gaye. Again, you waited for the 10 minutes in the line. Your number came. The person at the counter just put the stamp on your boarding pass.
Correct.
Done. In इस पूरे प्रोसेस में the only requirement from the customer point of view was the stamp
on the boarding pass.
Yes. So that was the value added activity there.
Correct.
बाकी सब जो आपने किया है, that is waste. The waiting. So waiting is one of the
activities that were performed which did not add value.
Yes.
Right.
The activity of waiting, that is one of the muda.
Right.
The activity of motion from the left side of the terminal to the right side of the terminal. That is muda.
Right.
That is muda of motion.
Right.
So I told you 8 mudas, उसमें से 2 ये है.
Awesome. So as a civil engineer, right, this was a very foreign thing for you. This is something that we did not study, obviously, during our engineering.
Yes.
Right? So we completed civil engineering. We learned about Kaizen in a place like Nikmar. After that, when you actually entered into the industry, when you entered into the civil, your company, like one of the largest, that is Kalpataru, you entered the company. Did you feel that, this is something which is very complex that is being thrown at me? Or was it easy for you to navigate in your career?
No, it's not at all complex. It's a very simple concept. आपको सिर्फ यही देखना होता है कि how you can identify. You just have to observe the process that is going on. And if you are a fresher, तो आपके लिए तो बहुत easy है.
अच्छा.
If आप अगर किसी प्रोसेस में ऑलरेडी काम कर रहे होते हो, आपके पास बहुत कोई चीज बहुत पास होती है ना, you will not identify defects on it.
Correct.
But any third fresh eye will come in the process, no? They will identify in a quick moment
True.
Something is wrong here.
True.
So as a concept wise, I will not say this anyway.
Any
complexity is
But
there.
you probably found it easy, right? From the perspective of career opportunities, right? Do you see a very good scope for civil engineers? Do you see more and more civil engineers being recruited in this particular profile? So do you see like industry adoption? बहुत सारे लोग ये do you see over the next 10 years where a lot of contractors start using a concept like this, or client companies or developers? Do you see a world where they start using this more and more, and more civil engineers are recruited in this particular profile?
See, I can clearly see lean is the future for the construction industry. In my past career, I am also observing the number of companies who have adopted this concept is increasing.
Right.
Few years back, they were very less, but now I can say a good number of companies had adopted this concept. And आप जितना जल्दी adopt कर लेंगे उतना better है आपके लिए. It will give you that competitive advantage.
Right.
With others.
Right.
Even when Toyota adopted this, उनको भी कोई 2 साल 4 साल या 5 साल में इसका बेनिफिट नहीं आ गया था, और एज द मैन्युफैक्चरिंग इंडस्ट्री ने एकदम से चेंज आ गया था. It took them around more than 20-30 or 40 years for industry to adopt the concept and implement it across from top to bottom.
Right.
So construction industry will also take time. I am not saying कि ये 1-2 दिन में हो जाएगा.
जो भी है.
It's a change. Before implementing Kaizen or before implementing Lean, you have to bring a cultural change also. So Kaizen is a culture. Kaizen is not a concept. आपको Kaizen culture develop करना होगा.
That's a very, very interesting point that you brought up, because a lot of people don't really understand the difference between a culture and a concept, right? So when you say Kaizen is a culture, so is it like a culture which has to come within you yourself as an individual, or is it something that you teach a team where you say, you know what, you have to follow these processes, and therefore this is how I can instill culture within the entire organization? So how does that dynamic work in your workplace?
So if you have to instill culture anywhere, I'm not talking about just an organization. Let's say you have a kid,
right,
or you have a little brother with you,
right?
How do you imbibe good habits to him? Either if he is doing good,
right,
you reward him, a pat on the back,
correct,
and if he is not doing good, what will you do? You will
punish some
him.
Sort of punishment. Yes.
So rewards and recognition is one of the important pillars while implementing a cultural change.
Wow. Okay.
Second is continuous feedback. In the same example of a kid, if he is not doing good, not doing up to the expectation, you give him or her a feedback.
Correct.
कि आपको ऐसे नहीं, ऐसे करना है.
Correct.
This is the right way.
Nice.
So this is the second pillar.
Correct.
The continuous feedback. And the third pillar is communication. So बहुत सारी organization ना यहाँ पे lack कर जाती है. They do not communicate properly to employee.
Right.
Or else they do not communicate at all.
Correct.
आपको जब भी a cultural change implement करना होगा, तो आपको you have to communicate to everyone in the organization.
Correct.
Each and every small things, whether good or bad, communication is important.
Right.
And that's how the change will come.
Awesome. So, you gave me very, very interesting concept where, in essence, you just explained change management, होता क्या है, or how do you, implement a change strategically in a business. So the first pillar, like you explained, is about rewarding or punishing when things go right or wrong, right? Rewarding, bringing a culture of reward so that people get motivated. The second pillar is the process of giving continuous feedback. If something goes wrong, identify what went wrong and give continuous feedback. And the third one was keep the communication channels open. So continuously keep communicating with your team members so that there is a culture of change. So that's a very fantastic snippet that you gave on change management.
So I want to add one more thing in the feedback wala part. So during feedback, Kaizen always, so Kaizen, this concept of Kaizen, and we always focus on the feedback should be about the processes,
right,
not the people.
right,
ये चीज को ध्यान रखना बहुत जरूरी होता है while bringing any cultural change.
right. So that's a very, very important point that you brought up. So when you say feedback on the process and not people,
Yes.
can you distinguish between the two and how do you do it?
So talking about the same example of that airport,
Correct.
if any senior person observe this process,
Right.
let's say airport का head वहाँ पे दिख रहा है,
हाँ.
somebody complains to him कि मेरे को इतना time waste हुआ है मेरा.
Correct.
One thing that senior person can do is सबसे पहले फर्स्ट वाले काउंटर पे जाएगा, बोलेगा तुमने इसको क्यों नहीं किया, इधर यहीं कर देना चाहिए था, ये नहीं होना चाहिए था, इट्स योर फॉल्ट.
Correct.
That fault finding is the people, the
Right.
लोगों पे ज़्यादा फोकस दे रहे हो.
Correct.
Instead अगर आप प्रोसेस पे फोकस देते, then you have identified the मुद्दा of waiting there, मुद्दा of motion there. So आपको लोगों को वो सिखाना होगा
Right.
कि ये इसमें प्रॉब्लम लोगों का नहीं है, पीपल का नहीं है. प्रोसेस को कैसे आप इम्प्रूव कर सकते हो.
Awesome. So on that note, it's a wonderful snippet that you gave the airport example, which quite literally explains everything within Lean and Kaizen. So, I have a very interesting question coming up. So, you've been working in this particular role for about 4 years now, for over 4 years now, right? And I'm sure you've seen many projects where people sort of implement Kaizen. So can you give me like say 1 or 2 examples specifically in the construction site, how this process improvement can be implemented? And you roughly touched upon the value adding activities and non-value adding activities. So from that example, can you elaborate 1 or 2 situations that you were a part of? You need not take names, but if you can give me a scenario so that our listeners can understand what is this value adding activities, how can you differentiate that with non-value adding activities, specifically in construction context?
So first I will explain what is value added activity and what is non-value added activity. By definition,
Absolutely.
if any data, any material, anything is changing its form, then it's a value added activity. The rest all are non-value added activities. And there is one more point to it. If your customer is ready to pay for that activity, then it is a value added activity. If talking about an example of construction, let's say you are a customer, you want to buy a flat, आपके उसमें मार्बल लगा है. आपको इससे फर्क नहीं पड़ता है मार्बल कश्मीर से आया या कन्याकुमारी से आया है. You just want the marble.
Makes sense. Yes.
So you are paying for the marble part.
Yes.
Now, I being a developer, मैं मार्बल थोड़ा राजस्थान से मंगा रहा हूँ and might be थोड़ा मैं महाराष्ट्र से मंगा रहा हूँ. और from ordering the marble there, मेरे को transportation cost भी है.
Correct.
Now, if I am buying a marble from a vendor who gives me discount on bulk, I will buy more.
Correct.
So if I buy more, even though I do not need it right now, I have to keep it then someplace on my site only.
Correct.
And construct.
Inventory cost.
Yes, there comes the inventory cost.
Correct.
And construction site पे anyways space तो हमेशा constraint होता है.
Absolutely.
So inventory, you said inventory is one of the मुद्दा.
Correct.
आपको अगर उसको address करना हो तो there is a concept of just in time.
Right.
We will talk it separately.
Mm-hmm.
So inventory आपने ज़्यादा ले ली. Now अभी आपको ये साइट पे तो जितना मार्बल लगना था यू हैव यूटिलाइज्ड इट. आपके पास अभी एक्सेस अमाउंट है सिंस आपने बल्क में डिस्काउंट में तो ले लिया. अब आपको और किसी प्रोजेक्ट पे मार्बल का रिक्वायरमेंट है.
करेक्ट.
तो आपने सोचा मैं यहाँ से वहाँ मूव करवा देता हूँ.
राइट.
सो यू मूव्ड इट फ्रॉम दिस साइड टू दैट साइड. अगेन देयर इज अ ट्रांसपोर्टेशन कॉस्ट. वहाँ पे फिर एक्सेस बच गया. देन अगेन मूव इट टू सम अदर साइड टू द ट्रांसपोर्टेशन ऑफ मुदा. इसी की बजाय अगर आप एक्सेस में नहीं लेते, सो इन्वेंट्री एक मुद्दा हो गया, उसको एड्रेस करने के लिए अगेन आपने ट्रांसपोर्टेशन का मुद्दा एक और किया.
करेक्ट. सो इट्स अ मिस्टेक ओवर अ मिस्टेक. राइट.
सो दैट्स हाउ वेस्ट इन अ प्रोसेस कीप ऑन जनरेटिंग.
राइट.
आपको वो ऑब्जर्व करके वो एड्रेस करना होता है.
Awesome. So is your job easy or would you say it is complex? Because just by a very simple example that you gave, there's so much eye for detail. It's such an important thing that you have to do, because when you go to a site and perform, say, an assessment of how things are being carried out on that particular site, you have to quite literally think about everything A to Z. So how easy or tough is it for you to personally monitor everything?
See, if you talk about me, how easy or tough it to monitor by me, मुझे नहीं देखना होगा. See, Kaizen is, हमारे Kaizen में एक saying है, Kaizen is for everybody, everywhere, everyday improvement. मैं अकेला कर लूँगा ना, तो it will take me years or centuries to bring that change. But every employee of the company start doing that. तो आपको वो बेनिफिट मिलेगा. सो दैट्स व्हाई मैंने बोला ना, ये कल्चरल चेंज है. वो कल्चर जब ही आएगा जब सब लोग करने लगेंगे. इट्स फॉर जब व्हेन एवरीवन इज डूइंग इट. सो नाउ कमिंग बैक टू द योर क्वेश्चन कि हाउ इजी और कॉम्प्लेक्स फॉर मी.
करेक्ट.
इट्स अ कॉम्प्लेक्स क्वेश्चन. इसका सिंपल आंसर नहीं है मेरे पास, बिकॉज समटाइम्स टू आइडेंटिफाई एनी वेस्ट इज ईजियर, but to remove the waste from the process, it's not at all easy. Like you cannot remove it in a one go. There are many things attached to it. There are many repercussions out of that. आप process को ऐसे ही change नहीं कर सकते. The first problem you will face is the resistance from the people who are executing. हाँ, क्यों करना है? जैसे मैंने बोला ना कि लोगों ने मेरे को बोला है 50 साल से तो कंस्ट्रक्शन हो रहा है ऐसे ही. आपको क्यों ये चेंज करना है?
How do you handle such a question? Why do you have to bring change?
So, why, जब ये क्वेश्चन हमको आता है ना, सबसे पहले हम उनको ये एक्सप्लेन करते हैं कि why change is required. Why there is a need for change. Let me give you an example. If you compare the list of top 20 Fortune 500 companies from 2000, the one list is of 2000 and second list of the 2019. Only 5 companies were there who were there in top 20 in 2000 or 2019 maybe. What I'm trying to say
15
is
companies slipped away in a matter of 20 years. That is just 2 decades. 15 companies slipped out of the top 20 list, and the reason is.
So मैं सिर्फ ये बोलना चाह रहा हूँ कि even though you are in top today,
correct,
इसका कोई गारंटी नहीं कि आप कल भी टॉप सस्टेन करेंगे.
Wow.
So change is required. You are in a race.
Adaptability.
Yes. आप भले चेंज करें नहीं करें, आपकी सराउंडिंग सब चेंज हो रही है. आप अपने सराउंडिंग्स ही देखिए. आज से कुछ साल पहले ये वेबिनार हो रहा होता, ये पॉडकास्ट हो रहा था क्या?
करेक्ट.
मैं कहाँ किसी को इतना इन ईजियर वे में सब तक कम्युनिकेट कर सकता था?
करेक्ट. इट वाज नॉट पॉसिबल.
नॉट पॉसिबल.
करेक्ट.
आज से कुछ साल पहले कंस्ट्रक्शन में वो टेक्नोलॉजीज नहीं थी जो आज है. आज से कुछ साल पहले लोग इस तरीके से अपना वर्क फ्रॉम होम कल्चर को भी अडॉप्ट नहीं करते जो आज है.
करेक्ट.
चेंज सब जगह हो रहा है. इफ यू आर नॉट चेंजिंग, यू आर ऑटोमेटिकली लैगिंग बिहाइंड. सेम इज द एग्जांपल ऑफ नोकिया एज वेल.
राइट.
एवरीबॉडी नोज अबाउट नोकिया.
करेक्ट.
उन्होंने क्या नहीं किया था? They didn't adopted the change.
Correct.
They were the market leader at that time.
Absolutely. They were the number one in terms of the number of devices in the world, and just because they couldn't upgrade to Android,
Yes.
they just went out of the market.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. I mean, that's such a fantastic example. So what you recommend and what you strictly advocate to listeners is Kaizen is a way of life more than it's a concept, right? It's not just a technical concept that you're trying to learn. It's a way of life that you practice every single day.
It's not just a jargon.
Yeah.
You have to follow.
Yeah.
The way of.
So there's no formula for you to implement it. That's the way you live. And second, what I could take away from this conversation is the fact that you reward progress over perfection. You don't strive to be perfect. You strive to progress.
Yes, right. So continuous improvement is a continuous journey that never ends. So you do not strive for improvement.
Right.
It's not a my quote. It's by I think Brian Tracy. Best I remember. I just borrowed it from him.
Awesome.
So it's a continuous journey that never ends. तो आपको perfection के पीछे जाओगे तो you will stay there only.
Right.
You just focus on that 1% improvement from the existing, that delta.
Correct.
That delta is important. Tomorrow again work for that delta.
Awesome. So fantastic. Now, in the last segment, I'd like to touch upon a couple of things. How would you recommend that a student, who is probably studying in engineering currently, right, or somebody who is working in site, how do you recommend they gain this knowledge of Kaizen, and how do they learn these processes? Is there any way in which they can easily learn all this?
So अभी तो मुझे बहुत सारे ये भी मालूम चलता है कि मैनी यूनिवर्सिटीज़ हैज स्टार्टेड लाइक उन्होंने ये अपने कोर्स करिकुलम में ऐड किया है. हमारे टाइम पे वो नहीं था. इफ़ यू वांट टू लर्न यू कैन रीड सम बुक्स. द टोयोटा वे इज़ वन ऑफ द बुक. उस पे उन्होंने उनमें एक्सप्लेन किया है कि हाउ दे हैव इम्प्लीमेंटेड दिस कॉन्सेप्ट देयर. और you can read the books of Mr. Masaki Imai. He is heading Kaizen Institute and वो पूरे वर्ल्ड में ये कॉन्सेप्ट को सबको बता रहे हैं, एक्सप्लेन करते हैं. सो उनके कुछ बुक्स है, काइजन, गेम्बा काइजन, स्ट्रेटेजिक काइजन. इट्स अ सीरीज ऑफ बुक्स. यू कैन रीड दैट ऑल्सो, और यू कैन जस्ट गूगल इट. आपके पास lot of information is there.
Awesome. So fantastic. Do process implementation engineers, do they earn well career wise? Do you think that students should actually strive to choose this as a career? पैसा है इस काम में? What do you think? What do you suggest?
See, पैसा हर काम में है. मैं ऐसा नहीं बोलूँगा कि I will not compare this role with some other role. Every role is good. Every role is earning. But ऐसा नहीं कि इस काम में पैसा नहीं है.
Right.
So there is a lot of scope in the construction industry in this role. And अभी तो we do not have so much of engineers who know about Kaizen, who know about process improvement.
Awesome.
So अभी तो आपके पास कंपटीशन भी कम है.
Correct.
एंड यू नो कंपटीशन कम होता है तो प्राइजेस किधर जाती है. इट्स ऑल डिमांड सप्लाई देन.
Supply demand. Awesome. So Vaibhav, I am very very excited कि आप you will be teaching the whole concept of Lean, Six Sigma and Kaizen to our postgraduate program students at Ascent School of Construction Business.
Yes, I am hoping, I'm very happy to, I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. So you are, one of those, very, very unique personalities that I've met in my life, who always, who never gives up and who is ready to take up any challenge. And from the perspective of student development and the students learning from the top 1% of professionals from the construction industry, I'm extremely confident that you'll do a fantastic job. And that way, my students obviously are blessed to be learning this whole concept of Lean, Kaizen from someone like you who is implementing it. So, one last question before we leave. Does Lean Construction, do they have any digital tools that, that they use? Are there any digital tools for Lean Construction?
So nowadays, I am also seeing many companies are using digital tools for the lean construction or implementing the lean concepts. But lean is not just about digital tools.
Right.
आप बिना किसी tool के, बिना किसी software के, you can implement the lean and the Kaizen concept there. It's not just about the digital tools. Softwares will help you.
Correct.
ऐसा नहीं है कि आपको उससे कुछ help नहीं होगा. बट इफ़ यू आर लुकिंग कि मेरे को इतना ह्यूज अमाउंट ऑफ मनी आई हैव टू इन्वेस्ट फर्स्ट टू बाय दैट सॉफ्टवेयर, लाइसेंसिंग एंड ऑल, फिर उसको उसे ट्रेनिंग देनी पड़ेगी हर एक एम्प्लॉय को टू यूज़ दैट सॉफ्टवेयर, एंड देन आई विल गेट द आउटपुट आउट ऑफ इट. ऐसा ज़रूरी नहीं है. आप बिना किसी डिजिटल टूल के भी लीन आप इम्प्लीमेंट कर सकते हैं. यू हैव टू ब्रिंग दैट कल्चर. वो बाइंग क्रिएट करना होगा. दैट्स ऑल. एंड it's better if it's from the top. So when it's a top-down approach is followed while bringing a cultural change, so employees also see this thing कि this is what the management want. If management is thinking कि this is beneficial for us, they will use it. अगर बिजनेस में वैल्यू नहीं दिख रही होती है तो मैनेजमेंट कुछ इम्प्लीमेंट नहीं करता है. तो उसका बिजनेस वैल्यू है, इसलिए मैनेजमेंट ने इम्प्लीमेंट किया. दैट्स व्हाई एम्प्लॉयज विल ऑटोमेटिकली यूज इट. तो बाय इन आपका आ जाएगा. इट विल बी ईजियर इफ इट्स इम्प्लीमेंटेड विद अ टॉप डाउन अप्रोच.
Was just such a fantastic conversation, Mr. Vaibhav Jain. It's such a pleasure for me personally and for Ascent School of Construction Business to have you as a student mentor, as to have you in multiple roles. To be honest, you are a student mentor here, you are an investor here as a catalyst, you are an expert facilitator who will be teaching students about Lean, Six Sigma and Kaizen. It's fantastic to be associated with you, Mr. Vaibhav. What do you think about this whole association with Ascent School of Construction Business? And what do you think about the kind of program that we conduct here?
So what I think is कि Ascent is doing something different. So generally एक normal MBA college में नहीं होता है. This is the need for the construction industry as well. Students should learn what is going on at the site. हम लोग थ्योरी में बहुत कुछ पढ़ते हैं, बट वो नेसेसरी नहीं है कि प्रैक्टिकली वो कितना इम्प्लीमेंट हो रहा है. एसेंट के थ्रू लोगों को वो मालूम चलेगा.
Right.
ये मुझे लगता है.
All right. On that note, thank you very much, Mr. Vaibhav, for your time, and it's such a great podcast. I think we have at least 5 more episodes with Lean, Six Sigma, and Kaizen. The next time you are in Bangalore, we will, host more such episodes. Thank you so much, Vaibhav, for your time.
Thank you so much for having me here.